Hello boys and girls, Busternaut here, and welcome to another World of Tanks Blitz tank review. Today we're taking a look at the tier 7 German heavy tank, the Tiger 1. The other one being the Tiger P, but the Tiger P is slightly different, and we'll talk about it in a different tank review. So before we take a look at the stats of this vehicle, I just want to say a few words about it. It is a great heavy tank, although it requires skill to be successful in, because unlike some of the other tier 7 heavy tanks, this one doesn't have a lot of armor, and later on in this video we will see exactly what I mean by that. But even from the picture here you can see that the tank is completely flat. The armor is not angled and not sloped. It is just a box with a turret and tracks. So yeah, you cannot expect a lot of effective thickness on this machine, but the gun makes up for it, as we will also see a bit later. This tank has an amazing gun with laser accuracy and awesome DPM and penetration. Okay, so now as we have talked a little bit about the machine, let's actually take a look at the stats. Okay, starting off with the hit points, this vehicle has 1450, which is very nice amount. You can survive 4 shots from the IS and other big caliber guns, which gives you very good flexibility, because you really don't have the armor to bounce those kind of shells. As you can see, frontal armor is 100, and the sides and the rear have 82 millimeters of armor. The turret is the same, 100 at the front and 82 at the sides and the rear. But we are going to take a look at the armor in a greater detail in a second, using an application called Armour Inspector. And now let's just continue with the rest of the stats of this machine. As you can see, the vehicle weighs 57.5 tons and it has 700 horsepower engine, which means that it has very healthy top speed of 40 km per hour, and although slowly you are going to reach that 40 km per hour top speed, but you are going to struggle climbing hills with this tank. The traverse speed is 25 degrees per second, which is not too bad, and the turret traverse speed is 20 degrees, which is a bit slow, but when you combine it with the tracks, it makes up for it. And now we come to the gun. This tank uses 88mm KWK-43 L71 gun, which has a whopping 8.57 rounds per minute rate of fire. When you add a gun rammer to this tank, it will have even better rate of fire, meaning that the DPM will just be insane on this vehicle. That's one of the strengths of the Tiger 1, that it has such high DPM. And for comparison, the Tiger P, which is the other tier 7 German heavy tank, uses the same gun, but it has 1 round less rate of fire than the Tiger. That's how significant the rate of fire of this tank is. Now, going through the rest of the stats, the gun has 203 millimeters of penetration with AP shells, which is amazing for tier 7. And if you face those tier 9 heavy tanks that you cannot penetrate frontally, you can always load some APCR, and that will give you 237 millimeters of penetration. The alpha damage is 220 and 270 for the HE shells, and the accuracy of the gun is 0.34, which is very good accuracy. The aim time though is a bit underwhelming at 2.9 seconds, but if you add improved ventilation or enhanced gun length drive or even vertical stabilizers, you will not feel that aim time being so bad. For the consumables, I'm using a repair kit, adrenaline and the multi-purpose restoration pack. And this actually is my Tiger 2 loadout, so don't pay attention to the exact numbers of the shells, but I recommend you carrying around 5 APCR rounds for those tier 9 heavy tanks. The equipment I recommend you use is a gun rammer to further increase your DPM, a ventilation because it helps for everything, and if you are feeling like it, you can add an enhanced gun length drive just to shorten that aim time. As you can see, those are my heavy tank crew skills. I am going for repairs only at this point, but when I max it out, I will probably go for adrenaline rush, since I feel those skills are most useful. And now let's take a more accurate look at the armor of the Tiger 1. As you can see, this is the model of the tank. And now the front, as you can see, everything is 100mm thick. The mid plate and the lower plate, everything. There are no weak spots. The machine gun is also 100mm thick, and the viewport is also 100mm thick. So there are no weak spots at the front. As you can see, the heavily angled plate, which is between the lower and the upper plate, is 60, but don't shoot there because it's an out of bounds. Other than that, you can see the side and the rear of the hull and on the turret are equally 80mm, but behind the suspension the side armor is 60, actually not 80. The gun mantlet is kind of strange. At places it is very thick and at others it is not. And now let's shoot at the Tiger with the IS gun, because those are the tanks which you will fight most often. And there we go. As you can see, that mid plate is an out of bounds zone. Don't shoot there. It is only 60mm, but it is the place where the Tiger bounces most of the shells fired towards it, and I have bounced countless shots there. As you can see, the gun mantlet is very inconsistent. On the outer parts it is more likely that you will bounce, and if you want to penetrate the gun mantlet, aim right next to the gun or a little bit further into the mantlet. As you can see there, just try to remember where to shoot because it is very inconsistent, the gun mantlet, and there are spots with over 200mm of armor and there are spots with below 150mm of armor. So just try to remember the weak spots on the mantlet there. The turret cheeks are an out of bounds zone, as you can see, so don't shoot there as well. And the turret of the Tiger, as you can see, is an auto penetration because it's only 25mm thick. Although it's angled, it is 59 or 60mm thick. But you might not be able to penetrate the roof because if your gun is smaller caliber, then I recommend aiming for the commander's cupola if the enemy Tiger is standing still. But other than that, you can see the cheeks are impenetrable. Well, for a tier 7 heavy anyways. If you are a tier 9, you can shoot the Tiger wherever you want at the turret and you will probably penetrate. You want to be angling like that in your Tiger. And as you can see, when you side scrape, your side is an out of bounds. I recommend you try to bait a shot, and when your enemy fires in your sight and bounces, I recommend you going backwards and putting a shot in your enemy, then hiding behind the corner once again. That's how you should effectively side scrape in your Tiger. Other than that, you cannot make this armor work really effectively, as you saw there. It is completely flat, and this box on the back of the turret, by the way, don't shoot there because it is not a hitbox. If you have the side of the turret, just shoot it somewhere in the middle or in the actual turret. Don't aim at that box at the very back. So that is all I have to say about the armor, pretty much. Also, if you have the side of the Tiger, don't try to aim for that 60mm part behind the tracks, because the tracks count as 40mm of spaced armor, and you will end up going through 100mm of armor instead of the 80, which are above the tracks, the actual side armor. So those are my tips if you are facing a Tiger, and also how to side scrape in a Tiger. Let's now take a look at some gameplay. First game, we are playing on Fort Despair map, and we are top tier. As you can see, I'm platooned up with Force Bladder on that one. He's in his Tiger P, which is the other German tier 7 heavy tank, as I mentioned earlier. Now, a lot of people will wonder which one is better, Tiger 1 or Tiger P. So in this video I'm going to try to explain you what the differences are. So the Tiger P has 200mm of frontal armor. Not the whole of the front, it has weak spots of course, but the frontal armor is 200mm at the most, which means that you are far more capable of bouncing enemy shots than you are in the Tiger 1. I mean, the Tiger P has double the armor of the Tiger 1, so it is obvious that it is better for taking beating, but the gun on the Tiger 1 performs better. And a lot of people get confused because they think that the Tiger P gets more armor and both tanks get the same gun, so they think the Tiger P is better. But as I told you earlier, the reload time on the Tiger is much shorter than on the Tiger P. This is the way to balance those tanks, because think about it. If they had the same guns, absolutely the same stats, and the Tiger P had more armor, everyone would drive the Tiger P because it would have been a better tank. But this is not the case. So I recommend you trying both tanks. I still haven't gotten the Tiger P, but I'm going to get it in the future because obviously I want the mouse. But right now I don't have available slots in my garage, so in the future when I buy more. But that's another topic. Now at this point we are just showing that KV-1S what is the Tiger made of, and he's using the stock gun, so he cannot really do anything to us. And this Churchill 7 we are able to penetrate easily as well. But there is an ISU, not an ISU, sorry, an SU-152, which has the 152mm howitzer. If that thing fires a heat round at us, or even an AP round, because the AP rounds on the SU-152 are pretty strong, he'll just destroy us. But he fired, so I poked and I take a shot at him, because he's the most dangerous target at this point. But since I have a kill here on the KV-1S, I decided to pick it, and now on the Cromwell as well. And you can see that rate of fire just going to town on those tanks. Now I don't want to poke too much, but I managed to sneak one into the SU anyways, and he gets taken out by our teammate. So Force Bladder has gone around to try and protect our back, but unfortunately this Churchill takes him out. So I'm going to avenge him right now, but I'm not going to get too carried away. As you can see, I used adrenaline because only I and the KV-1S remain, and this Comet has full health. So I am going to, try my best to take him out. As you can see, I'm aiming at the engine because the Comet has a better rate of fire, than me, and he also used adrenaline. And at the end I finally managed to set him on fire and destroy him. That was close. And we won that one. So using adrenaline, you saw that the rate of fire of the Tiger is just amazing. And we got an ace tanker, top gun, Radley Waters and steel wool, and we did 3600 damage. And we got 1300 base experience. Now next game we are playing against tier 8 opponents, and this time I'm playing solo. Let's see how the tank performs against some tier 8s. The thing that you have 203mm of penetration is really nice about this machine, and it is all about the deadly gun, of course. As you saw earlier, the armor is enough to side scrape, and I will show you exactly that in this game. I'll show you how to make use of the little armor that is available to you when you are driving this tank. Well, that's not really the case. The armor on the Tiger is not, it's not thin, but the thing is that it's not sloped at all, so we cannot get extra thickness. And now we face the T-32, and as you can see I'm side scraping. First I blew up his tracks, and now I'm clearing those crates which are making it impossible for me to put shots in him. Now I have his lower plate, but I missed. And there we go, that's much better. And now he takes shots and removes the rest of the crates, which is nice, because I can put another one into his lower plate. He's coming again, but as you can see I'm side scraping and my tracks eat the shot. I didn't take any damage whatsoever. There he comes again. I missed my shot, but he misses as well. I want to blow up his tracks here, but he comes at me. Now he penetrates me, but I wasn't side scraping perfectly at that moment, and he put one into my front because he came too far forwards, but now he cannot see my front, and as you can see I bounce another one. That's how you should side scrape in the Tiger. Look at my angle there. Now because of the way I'm side scraping, he cannot see my frontal armor. All he can see is my side, and my side is an out to bounce angle, so he's not able to penetrate me. And now he's a one-shot kill, so I go forwards, but my teammate takes hit out. Now I'm going to push and try to flank the Yak Tiger 88 and the Tiger 2. There they are, but they were waiting for me, so I just lost an enormous amount of health, and there's a T-150 as well. So I immediately hugged that corner and tried side scraping against both opponents. Now bounce one from the T-150, and at this point I'm relieved because I see that he has the stock gun, and that's why I'm angling that way. If he wasn't with the stock gun, I wouldn't angle that much. I mean, I'm angled too much here, and he's able to penetrate my side. And now I can start working on the Tiger 2 and the Yak Tiger 88 after I finished him off. As you can see, my tracks eat another shot, and now I almost put one into the Tiger 2, but the crates were into the way, and we bounced another one, this time from the Tiger 2, by side scraping. And that's how you drive a heavy tank, you just side scrape. There we go, our tracks eaten another shot by the Tiger 2, and we can just go back and put one into him. And there we go, another one. He just cannot penetrate us. There comes the Yak Tiger. We go forwards, but he penetrates anyway. And now he goes around the corner, but I go forwards, and now he's just dead. He made a mistake that he came around that corner that aggressively. He thought I was going to panic, but I didn't, and I was able to take him out. And that's it, game over. You saw how the T-32 and the Tiger 2 were not able to penetrate us the whole game, and that's how you get an ace tanker in a tier 8 game with the Tiger. We did 3100 damage and scored 2 kills, ending up with 1187 base experience. And as you can see, the next game we are playing on Rockfield. We're top tier once again, and I'm platooned up with Force Bladder, who's driving his Tiger P. Now on this map I usually go to one and the same spot no matter what I'm driving, and you'll see me going there right now. It is the top part, the kind of hill part on the map. I like fighting there because when you beat the enemy you can just shoot down on any enemies that are engaging the cap circle, and there is a very good sniping position over here behind that bush, as you can see, exactly the way I'm looking at. And it is not a bad idea to poke through that bush every game just to spot those enemies, and that's the bush I'm talking about. The Tiger 1 cannot see me. Well, now he can after I fired, someone spotted me. But the bush will provide concealment for you, and initially the enemies will not be able to spot you. Now I started taking shots, so I decided to move up and support Force Bladder here, who is fighting the Comet and the T-43. And now I don't know if there are enemies across, but I'm going to go around and to risk it. If there are enemies, they will just shoot me in the flank, but I don't care. I will risk it, and I will engage the T-43 and the Comet from behind. Now T-43 was facing that way anyways, but there is nothing he can do now. As you can see, I angle and I managed to bounce one of his shots, setting him on fire and killing him. And at that time our Force Bladder managed to deal with the Comet, so now we can press forwards. We can see that Tiger from earlier, and we can start putting shots into him. As you can see, I bounced that shot because I fired it right into his gun mantlet, so I probably hit either his gun or a thick part of his gun mantlet, and I wasn't able to pen. Anyways, now we get the kill after all. And we are even at this point with the enemy team, but it will get worse as they take out our IS, and now the 3 of us are against 4 of them, but it is anyways because I'm going to take out this Churchill one. Now trying to put shots in the T-20, but he hides behind the rock. And seeing that the enemy captured the flag, I decided to go forwards and to reset before it's too late, and also to kill the enemies which are in the cap circle and are separated from the rest of their team. I couldn't spot the AT-15A until he fired, but then I can put one right into his weak spot with that awesome accuracy of the 88mm gun. And also the 203mm of penetration mean that I can penetrate the AT-15. Of course I was aiming in a weak spot just to make sure it goes in. Now we just take out this VK. There we go. And all that remains is the T-20. So that is how you deal with situations like that when the enemy team has a number advantage and they are separated. You just go and kill them one by one. We weren't separated, unlike them, as you can see there. There's the T-20. I donked my shot because I wanted to go into cover. And now I can shoot at him from this position while being safe from return fire. And it is just a question now, when will he die? And we were lucky to pick our 6th kill of the game. Meaning that we got yet another ace tanker, Top Gun, Pulse Medal and crucial contribution, doing 3200 damage and picking up 6 kills with 1180 base experience. So, the Tiger won. A little bit tricky to play vehicle, but once you master it, you will have loads of fun in it, because after all, this tank is just amazing. This will be for his tank review. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something new. If so, leave a like down below, this helps me a lot. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos, and good luck on the battlefield.